They're not there to come and say, as we say in the streets, I beg, I beg. No. You understand? So it is important that the police themselves carry themselves with the dignity that is required. Let me use a pidgin proverb. Say, we're not going to call Malu brother because we want chop meat now. You know what I mean? Now, you cannot. I mean, the issue of salaries, whether remuneration, that we are in the same society. Yeah. They're better paid than the average civil servant.
And your political agents, they are aware of it. We are not uploading.
That means no need to say
we are not uploading. If you want us to vote, we will vote you now. But if you don't want us to vote you, no problem. We are not uploading. We are not uploading. We are not uploading. We are not uploading. Your political agents, they are all aware of it. We are not uploading. We are not uploading. We are not uploading. We are not to upload. We are not uploading.
Mona can give you now one give. I no vote.
Uploading.
One can they suffer myself here. Now, it's again. I'm a minimum.
Please, let us pass this here. I don't want issue. I don't want query from anybody. Look at the way it goes. Please, call these boys. Call these boys, I beg. You give me time.
I need that one for people. Get out of this office. Get out of this office.
Call these boys.
Okay, this is what you are. This is what you are. Get out of this office, okay? Okay, get out of this office.
Don't worry.
Get out of this office.
Wait.
No be wait. Get out of this office. Okay, get out of this office. Come and say that you are no more part of us. You are no more part of us, okay? Leave that one. Leave that one. You are no more part of us. Okay, when you are here, you will not be able to work. We have been looking for the way like this. We have been waiting for days like this for you to retire. We are not placing well to us. Yes. They manage you. They manage you. Whether you today. Now manage you. Manage you today. Get out of this office. This is not your office. Get out of this office. This is what you want. We give you what you want today. We will give you what you want. We will give you what you want. Back on this. Back on this out. Back on the thing. Back on this is what you want. What you want to have. Move these out! Move these out! Move these out! You are not out. You are retired. Go back to your family. Go and tell your family. Let us enjoy our work. Let us enjoy our work.
While the INEC personnel were waiting to actually reconfigure the beavers machine that was said to be malfunctioning, they just swoop them, and the result is what we see on the ground here, the materials and all whatnot. If you look at the boxes here, these are the boxes that are supposed to be used. Look at this, look at this. They are supposed to be used for the voting today, but the personnel are nowhere to be found unless they've gone to reconfigure those beavers machines. People here are very, very agitated because, as they are saying, this is an attempt to actually disenfranchise them, and the anger is actually at a boiling point. I can barely hear myself because of the noise from the people here expressing their dissatisfaction with the process. These are some of the military men that are coming in here to actually take charge of the situation and douse the situation. So I will be talking to some of the residents who will be telling me what their experiences are and what they are seeing here today. One of them is here with me. Please tell me your name and what exactly has happened here at this Wahid Akoni 003 polling unit.
008.
008.
Precisely. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Mr. Chinedu. I am one of the voters here. And irrespective that the INEC people came in here a little bit late, and then immediately they came, they were busy trying to accredit most people to vote. And we need to do our voting. And when immediately these hoodlums, they came through that gate there, they started stoning our people. They started pursuing the voters. They started. They made away with the beavers. They made away with the.
Were they the ones that made away with the beavers, or it was the INEC personnel that went away with the beavers? Because I learned. Hold on, please. I learned the beavers machine was not working, and the INEC personnel were about going to rectify the machines when this pandemonium started.
Definitely.
Was it the hoodlums that went away with the beavers, or the INEC personnel went away with the beavers?
Okay, see what happened here when they were here pursuing people. They wanted to go away with the beavers. The INEC official fought them and retrieved the beavers. Look at what you can see on the ground here. They started tearing the electoral materials, scratching the materials, and then they started pursuing people, throwing stones, bottles, and then look at the cars at the back of you here. The car was vandalized. Is one of the voters that want to come and vote here. Then they broke up the windows of this apartment. These are the people that want to come and vote. This is a means of disenfranchising people. It is not acceptable in Nigerian politics. The only thing we need to do is what? We want to vote. We are Nigerians. We have every right with your voter's card. INEC need to give you the security for you to come and hear and vote.
Now, the security personnel are here. I can hear the siren of the police personnel blaring. The soldiers are here. Do you still have confidence that you'll be able to exercise your rights since the personnel that are supposed to be in charge are taking charge?
Yeah, definitely. All of us, we Nigerians, we always have faith in our security agency. The moment we called them, they responded immediately, and then they pursued the hoodlums through that gate. You can see the gate out there. They pursued them to a large extent. And now the security agents, they now came here. What they now say, they're telling to the masses is that we will continue the voters. But the only point you need to understand is this. Most people are afraid. Most people are just, they are disgusted. Most people are just, they don't know what to do again. Most people have gone home because of the security threat in here. Please.
I understand.
Please,
I understand that feeling. Thank you very much for talking to us. The security personnel are taking charge of this situation, and we hope that the dissatisfaction being expressed here will give way to some kind of expression that will become a satisfaction for the people, because we learned that the INEC personnel are going to return here, especially since the personnel have been here to actually continue this process. But what happens to the property that have been vandalized, the cars, the buildings that have been which windows have been touched? Well, it is a food for thought. We're still here, keeping tabs. The situation is and how it will unfold more to give you the details as they come.
It's very good, Kumbo. But before I let you go, what is the scenario? I remember during the presidential elections, as I was going back home, there was a presence of armored vehicles, and to a large extent, even while the election was still going on, even after 6 p.m., there was heavy security presence of armed army personnel, not police this time around. But it seems Okota and Agor Palaswe has a unique volatility when it comes to election periods. So what more can you tell us? We're seeing an individual being stripped. Talk to us about his experience.
No, it's just another dissatisfied voter here that is expressing is disgust at what has taken place here and seeking that the situation be reversed so that all of them here can exercise their franchise. What I've been interacting with the people even before coming on this live show with you. What was it like? Because I wasn't here during the presidential election, and what I was told was there was no issue, like this during that election. There was a massive turnout of people who actually were allowed to cast their vote without any form of harassment or molestation. That's why majority of them are surprised, and they are actually very, very dissatisfied, and they are calling on the authorities to actually ensure that this will not lead to their being disenfranchised eventually throughout the exercise. We hope that will be the situation. The personnel that are nowhere to be found now, that we learned will be on their way back here. Their materials are still here, their boxes are here, will return here, and the security personnel too will remain here so that the exercise can continue. without any form of molestation for anybody, no matter what electoral choice they have made.
Juan, thank you. Can you tell us more about the thugs that came around? Did they come in a vehicle? Did they walk? Are they recognized residents of the polling unit? What more can you tell us about them?
What some of the people here are telling us is that they don't know who these people are really. That they're strangers who they are not familiar with. Though maybe one or two of them could be, they could pick out the faces of one or two of them, or majority of them. They said to us that they are strangers who actually just came in to disrupt the exercise around here this midday.
All right, Okubo, one final question. You mentioned that the INEC officials took the beavers for safety to reconfigure it or something of that nature. But what are the prospects of them coming back and to perform their civic duty? And we can see behind you, people, despite the experience they've just had, are coming back to that same spot, hopefully to cast their ballots, despite the, the awful experience that you've just gone through.
Yeah, we weren't here when the INEC personnel actually disappeared, but from the pieces of information that we've been able to put together by some of the people we met on ground here, indicates that those people will be coming back. But of course, the personnel too will equally be afraid for their lives, and I'm sure that they're just probably waiting for the signal to reassure them that the environment is peaceful enough and is conducive enough for them to return to cast their vote. Of course, what you can see, Ni, is a large crowd of people. INEC too would not want this kind of dent on the process that otherwise has been going on smooth in some other areas. You know that if you disenfranchise these several people, it will be a very big dent on the process. And I'm sure INEC will not want that. Of course, we witnessed a situation like this during the presidential election, of course, not violent like this, but where the personnel were unable to turn up early enough. Of course, the INEC to ensure that the personnel turned up even as late as 7 p.m. for the people there in Lekki to actually participate in the exercise and exercise their franchise. I'm sure that should be the situation here today. If you just look behind me, just at the junction, right behind me is another polling unit really that was affected by this same pandemonium. I must tell you that at that polling unit, some people had actually voted. The process had started that time before the hoodlums came. It was the disruption by those hoodlums that actually affected the voting there too, that the personnel there had to run for cover, and the people who are equally queuing up to vote equally had to run for cover. But I'm sure that as a situation is being normalized, we should see the personnel back and prospective voters back on the queue to actually exercise their rights here.
Very good, Tokunbo. Hopefully you'll be staying on this and we'll get more details from you as they unfold. Definitely a serious scenario there. It's been peaceful so far. And let's go to Abuja studio. Arise analyst, Professor Abiodun Adeni is also standing by and witnessing all of this. Professor, what are your thoughts? Just a few moments ago, we're just talking about the issues of institutions and the need for the security paraphernalia to be more active in this regard. So what are your thoughts on the current narratives we're looking at right now in Lagos?
Yeah, it's very chilling, very unfortunate, and of course regrettable as well. This was why we said in the first instance that INEC might be doing their best, trying to increase the credibility of our electoral process through the introduction of technology to reduce human interaction with the electoral procedure, as the case could be. Yeah, all those are okay, they are fine. But of course, they also need a safe and secure environment for this to pan out. And here we are now, despite all the arrangements they have made, the environment is not secure. People just sheerly disrupted their procedure. And of course, this is causing strain, causing stress. And if it's not properly managed, it might degenerate because, like the correspondent said, like Tokumbo said, rightly said, the anger is getting to a feverish proportion. And of course, if it's not properly managed, it might degenerate. We just hope that some amends can be made before long, so that the voters there can exercise their franchise. You can see the passion, you can see the enthusiasm and degenerating into anger. But we just hope that it will not snowball. I will say this for the umpteenth time. I also want to believe that...
All right, Professor, we'll get back to you, but let's listen to what the affected people have to say.
This is Lagos. You know, if you vote for Lagos, women were beaten. I started running for my life. They threw stone on my face. This happened. This incident happened this morning at Shivita, Ajawo Estate. As I was coming back now, in was bit took his phone. He came looking for Rice TV was because the polling unit at Governorship, the INEC that was sent there, she has the beavers aren't working anymore. So she's under duress. They were asking her to do something. She has been calling us for so no response. So I came out to look for it before I met this incident here. So we are not happy. We are being oppressed. Okiki Street, voters were beaten. They say if you're not voting for APC, do you understand? This is Nigeria.
All these people are harassing people in this neighborhood. Are they members of this community or they're straight?
Of course, they know their faces. Of course, the person that was here.
You don't want APC.
You don't understand.
You don't want APC.
See, this is Nigeria. We are one. No matter where I want to live with my family, I have every right. I'm a taxpayer. So you don't intimidate me because you want something else. I have the freedom to choose. So allow us choose.
All right, Tokumbo giving us situation report there at what we're looking at. I mentioned the issue of densely populated areas, especially when the demographics are skewed against a particular ethnic configuration of which we're seen in that region. And we're having issues like this. So it was prophetic to a large extent. So what do you make of that scenario?
Yeah, as I said earlier, it wasn't unexpected. It's when perhaps people lack strategy, that they resort to other means, and that's what's playing out. It is unfortunate, and we're only lucky to see this because the cameras are very important on there. Like the other one I mentioned, I can assure you that across the states, in the north, the east, the west, and the south, like this happening. Fortunately, social media will capture some more to give us, but it may not have the immediacy to my gig what live television will do. So in places like that, if it happens, it just happens, and this probably would have been the end of it. But well, where the cameras are there, people are bound to behave. So what's happening here is a situation where we're just seeing a sample of what's happening all over. So the strategy this time is suppression where it may not favor you. I don't think there'll be that much apathy. There's intimidation, no doubt. Why I don't think there'll be apathy is that after the last situation resolved, they don't know that more people came out to vote. Now, more actual people, as in human beings, not those votes, actually came out to vote this time than ever before. But not, I mean, it's in... the field, what you see, few of them would have to be, say this is the better part of valor.
Yes.
So it's better that you preserve yourself first. That's the first law of nature. And then you can complain later, because, so, but that's largely what we're going to be saying. So there'll be a need to protect this people. I expect the citizens as well to rise up as well, because in most places, in most polling units where these things happen, the voices are a majority in one direction, which is why they're targeted. Like they say, you don't throw stones at unripe mangoes, only ripe mangoes. So that's what's happening across the country. You're going to be hearing and you're going to be seeing more of that. So it's unfortunate with that situation.
Yeah.
I want to bring in Professor in Abuja. Professor, back to the security situation at hand. Every Nigerian's life is important to every leader. We saw Governor Makinde come out and post and say, look, everybody exercise your rights to vote. I secure your lives. I would make sure that you're safe. Don't be threatened. Don't go back indoors. What do you think of we're seeing this?
Hopefully we can get a professor to react to that. But let's go live to Kaduna to get more thoughts on voters.
Because if you accept definitely, I have no doubt in my mind the outcome will certainly be acceptable by everyone, not only me. Because here in Kaduna we don't have instances of crisis and chaos. It has been smooth. In my mind, all the candidates will accept it, but in some instances, we have recorded some cases of PDP completing the ballot before even they arrived to the polling units. So that is the only cases we had experienced, particularly in Kajuru local government and Zare local government. PDP penetrated the INEC and have decided to collab with some INEC officials to complain some of the ballot, particularly in Kajuru and in Zaria. But we are still trying to find out whether it has escalated to other local governments. But so far, that is what's really happened. But we are doing our best, talking to the INEC officials to unravel the countries, those that have conspired with the INEC official complaints, the ballots before into the polls.
In our presidential and national assembly elections, the use of beavers was something that in a way, gave that process some kind of doubt. How would you assess the use of beavers in this state governorship and state assembly elections? And again, you have also mentioned the fact that you have received some reports. The government did say earlier that there were some cases of voters intimidation. Have you received such reports as well?
Particularly in the southern part of Kaduna, where PDP mobilized us as innocent. We have reported the incidents to the security agencies, and I'm sure they will do the needful. That's what is happening at the moment. Most of those cases are in southern part of Kaduna. I'm sure they realize that a lot of voters that came out this morning are supporting PDP and are out to vote for PDP. But we, as a ruling party, will do our best to adhere to the rules and make sure that the election continues smoothly.
All right, so that was the Kaduna State APC governorship candidate there. And of course, our correspondent Nisi Gabriel is on ground to give us an insight on what's happening in that region. Nisi, it's good to have you with us. So what more can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Lee. As you just watched, that was the governorship candidate, the APC governorship candidate, Senator Obasani, just cast his vote a few minutes ago. And while speaking to us, he said, so far so good, the process has been seamless. He actually commended INEC for organizing the seamless and credible election. But he actually did mention that they have received reports of voter intimidation in the southern parts of Kaduna, especially Kaduna government area and Zaria local government area of Kaduna State. And he said from what they are hearing, they have actually been able to call the attention of the security operative to head to those particular local governments where they allege that the opposition PDP is actually intimidating voters, snatching ballot boxes, and actually there were cases of thumb printing, earlier thumb printing before the actual voting, but those are allegations by the ruling APC. So that was what the APC Guber candidate in the person of Senator Obasani did say a few minutes ago.
This security scenario in of allegations so far, but in terms of security network, what are we seeing so far?
The security personnel, especially the police, because as we know, we have about 16,000 police personnel deployed to Kaduna State for this election, for the Governorship and State House of Assembly election. And the visible presence of security operative, the police, the army, scattered across the metropolis and in other local government areas of the state. So one must commend and applaud the security operative, because aside these issues that are just coming out, which the APC is alleging, voters intimidation in Kaduna local government and Zaria local government, apart from those issues, we've not had any other issue. Remember, before this election, there were apprehension and tension of election violence in Kaduna State, even before, during, and after the election. But the election is on the way, and we are yet to see massive or a full-scale election violence. But we are just hoping that the tempo remains until after the election.
If I may just add this question, like you said, there were anticipation about electoral violence. But what about the issue of banditry and all that scenarios, which you have covered extensively? Did that fear come into play going into this election?
That's a very good question, Neil. Definitely, certainly, that fear did come up. Remember, before a few weeks to this election, there were incidents in the southern parts of Kaduna, banditry attack and terrorist attack in the southern parts of Kaduna, especially the Zango-Kataf local government area. And many people, before the election, there were reports, or the analysts did say that those attacks were actually caused voter apathy. And we're actually monitoring the election to see if actually those attacks will affect the turnout of voters in the southern parts of Kaduna. But like you rightly said, there were reports of violence in that axis, attacks and reprisal attacks, communal clashes, banditry attacks, specifically in those areas. And those are issues that are long age, is a long age crisis. And it just so said that it had to happen a few weeks before this election.
Well done. What are your predictions for the rest of the day? Do you expect that the elections will end on time? And are we expecting counting to be done today?
Well, like I said earlier during the day, INEC did a good job by coming out early compared to what we saw during the presidential and the National Assembly election. They did come out early today. They started at exactly 8:30 today. Well, huge case of voter apathy in Kaduna today, I must say, because this particular polling unit where the APC governorship candidate, Senator Obasani, just voted a few minutes ago, the crowd we are seeing there compared to what we saw during the presidential election is really, really low. So for the rest of the peaceful voting coming out, and INEC has passed few of the hurdles. At least they did well. The Beavers performed, and we saw them coming out early. But there's one more hurdle, which is very crucial for them to cross, which is the electronic transmission of results from the polling units. So we'll keep watching and we'll keep monitoring to see if that will be done. Because as crucial as it is, is also very, very important. So we have to keep our fingers crossed and monitor, because we are very certain that these voters will stay here to guard their votes. And many of us are also hopeful that they will also monitor the process to ensure that the electoral officers transmit their results electronically from the polling unit. So that's the last hurdle for INEC to cross.
Well, just one more thing on the INEC scenario. In terms of logistics, do you think the equipment they had, was adequate for this election?
Well, compared to the turnout of voters we saw in today's election, one can say yes, they were adequate. But compared to the presidential and National Assembly election, where we saw massive turnout of voters, those same equipment were not adequate. So it's also safe to say that INEC might have deployed the same equipment they deployed in the presidential election for this particular election, but those equipment became sufficient because of the turnout of voters. We have minimal low turnout of voters in this election, so definitely we have to see peaceful and seamless process. So that's the best way to answer that question.
All right, Nisi, Gabriel, always a pleasure hearing from you. Hopefully we can move before the end of the day. Now we go to Enugu State, where Peter Mba, the PDP governorship candidate, is about voting. And of course, we can just about make out the scenario, which is a contrast to what we've been showing you in Lagos. And, for some time looks peaceful. He has casted his vote amid applause from viewers.
This way.
Sir, we'll like to talk to you, sir.
My lapel.
Jimmy, I'm here.
This is coming.
Hold on, we need motion. Hold on. Jimmy, hold on there. Sir, let her go. Come later. This
whole election, everywhere, not just your own word.
I better go back again.
Well, we are yet to have the full information of what is going on across the state. But from what is going on here, I can tell you that the process here is peaceful, the atmosphere is peaceful. We've, the accreditation process itself is also going at the right pace. I came in here, I hardly spent 15 minutes, and I'm now able to cast my vote. And I hope the process continues this way here. And I want to also believe that what we're experiencing here is what is going on. We've had some complaints and from some of our supporters that there's massive deployment of the military. I do hope that does not extend to the election centers, the polling units, and that this is essentially at the periphery, at the perimeters, not as a polling unit. We are hoping that the security agencies would, of course, conduct themselves. We know how critical this process is. This is the bedrock of our democracy, and we cannot afford to fail, in our various responsibilities, whether it's the military, the INEC structure. We must do everything to ensure that the process is credible, that the process is fair, and that the process is just.
now, what is in terms of
So, again, if with what I have so far, the information I've so far received, is that the environment, the security environment, is okay. And again, one hopes that that continues. As you know, we've had some people from a different party who came out before the election to threaten that the election for them is a do or die affair. We do not believe that the election should be a do or die affair. And our position is that our ambition, or indeed our aspiration, is not worth the life or the blood of anybody, and that this process must be free, it must be fair, and it must be credible.
Right, so sir, as a Nigeria, sir, what advice do you have for Nigerians, not just here in Enugu State, but all over the country, concerning this election?
I think we're at a turning point, if you will, in our democracy, where our people are beginning to understand that the power of good governance, the power of electing or picking who represents them, whether at the national levels or the state level, is at the tip of their index finger. And once they understand that process, that's the idea of you exercising your civic right and knowing that it will count, what that means is that leaders will be held to account. So I'm encouraging them to come out en masse and exercise that civic right. To understand that if we complain that bad governance is responsible for the socio-economic woes that that have bedeviled us in this country, then we must not sit on the fence. We must not be on the sideline. We must come out, stand out, and be counted for something. Come out and exercise that right, that civic right that we have. Because that's the only way we can hold leaders to account.
Speaker Mba of governorship candidate for the PDP in Enugu State. Of course, we are getting the initial feelers from the field from here in Lagos. Arise correspondent Tokunbo Yetunji is also keeping an eye on President-elect Bola Tinubu as he prepares to cast his vote. Tokunbo joins us now, but Tokunbo is still around the Agor Palace area or the Okota area rather, where the incident of ballots, tearing of sheets took place. So talking about what's happening currently? Tokunbo, can you give us an update? What's happening where you are at the moment?
Okay, thank you very much, Nii, for coming back to us here. We're still at Agor Waida Koni, the place where we brought you a report the other time about some hoodlums coming in to disrupt the voting process. Of course, what is going on here is more pandemonium. You can see a police van here with police personnel loaded in there. In there too are some INEC personnel who were supposed to be carrying the point here. Personnel have expressed for their lives because of what they experienced earlier, and policemen taking them away from here. The people in this area resisted. They say no, they can't take them away because that will mean they are disenfranchising them. And if my cameraman can just show them, because that's the police van there. If I move in front of the van, you will see the barricade that the people have put across to actually stop the police van from moving away from here. Because according to them, if they move away, that will mean they will be disenfranchised. And these are some of the things that the people put on the road to actually stop the police van from moving. And the agitation from the people is that they must vote. Majority of them coming out with their voters card to show that they are ready to vote and they are not ready to be disenfranchised by anybody, because they feel that if the policemen should go away with this personnel, that may mean them being disenfranchised from this process. Nii.
What are you waiting for people to start voting? Where is INEC at the moment, Tokunbo? Tokumbo, can you hear me?
Inside the van. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. INEC, where are they?
Can you hear me? Are you with me?
We're with you.
Some of the INEC personnel, as I speak with you, are in the van. They are just at the back space, the cabin there. That's where they are. We have some more personnel coming here to actually engage the people. I think it's a senior police personnel who is going to be talking to the people. You can see him throwing his hands up, trying to find out what exactly the situation is, and the people are actually trying to express their anger and grievance and dissatisfaction with this whole process. You can hear them. That is the situation.
Where's INEC? When do we expect INEC to come back and start the process?
All right, sir.
Will you guys go back to your office directly? Have you called your supervisors? Just take it easy. You are in safe hands with the police. Just take it easy.
All right, Ohai, you know, we're witnessing scenarios like this, and it's just like when we began this discussion about voter suppression and, you know, disenfranchisement or whatever name you choose, we're seeing, you know, an angst against the police themselves. So it's a lot of unanswered questions here, and you can't help but think even the security forces are overwhelmed.
Well, it's interesting what's happening. It's now what in marketing you call what's it called now, a buyer's market. It used to be that the sellers dictated how things would go. Now the voters, in this case, the buyers who are the voters, are now determining. Nigerians are more resolute, more determined. But more importantly, I think that I hope that INEC chairman himself is watching this, or that someone would have drawn his attention to this. The rating of the polling unit 008 in what's the name of that? They already have. I expect that he recognizes in Lagos State here. And if those materials, I'm sure they have extra materials, so say deploy materials there immediately and do something about this. Because if these people are disenfranchised, then it will be a shame. Because the idea is to intimidate. The idea is to suppress and possibly, still by other means, votes. You understand? Because how do you do it? It's either you reduce the votes or you add by other means. In this case, you reduce your opponent's vote through strategies like this. I would expect, I'm calling on the INEC chairman right now, and I hope he's listening. Or his staff are listening, because if there's a state of anarchy here now, whatever happens here now, Mahmoud Yahya should be held responsible. The reason is he's hearing what is happening.
Yakubu, actually.
Yakubu, thank you. Yakubu. So I would expect, if I was in his position, I'll put through a call right now, call the person in charge of the state and say, if possible, get to that place, provide the materials and make sure that these people vote
Very good, Victor. Now, Professor Adeni, you're listening to all of this. You're seeing this scenario playing out live in Okota, Lagos. The security people are trying to exit the current logjam with voters who apparently are having challenges, and of course, INEC officials are not there. So, okay, Victor, we have to continue with you. So, in this scenario, yes. No, they've taken.
Want to move.
Yeah, they've taken the. Yeah.
There are some there. They want to move with them.
Okay.
They were supposed to go out to Beavers, so with I can see observers, foreign observers there as well, and I hope they're taking note. So, but they want to move the officials and materials. The people are saying no. If it was just policemen, they don't mind.
Okay.
Because why would they block them with the only policemen? I heard in the report that they are going over with INEC officials, and so the people fear that that will be the end, that they will be completely disenfranchised.
But in that scenario, when you have incidences like this,
yes,
maybe not on a massive scale, but is that enough to overturn an election in that area or generally within the state?
Well,
depending on the frequency of this occurring.
I had something that, let me see, please, permit me. I didn't think I would need it. I come in handy here. It's the importance of one vote.
Yeah.
That it says in 1645, who gave Oliver Cromwell. In 1776, one vote in the United States English language instead of German. In 1800, Thomas Jefferson was elected President of America by one vote margin. In 1845, one vote brought Texas into Union. In impeachment. In 1875, one vote changed France from a monarchy to in 1889, just 2 or 3, I think. In 1889, by one vote margin, Washington was admitted to statehood with Union. In 1923, one vote gave Adolf Hitler leadership of Nazi Party. In 1994, United States, second to the last, in the United States House of Representatives enacted a law banning specific classes of assault weapons. The vote was initially tied, but one member changed his vote to approve the ban. And the final one, in 1995, the United States Balanced Budget Amendment Bill came before U.S. Senate when it became obvious that the measure would fail. Senate Republican Whip Bob Dole changed his vote to enable him to bring the matter back up under parliamentary rules for a vote in the future. One vote is very important. It could make a difference. Now, what you see is incremental increments of one vote. Every disenfranchisement is increments of one vote. And so these numbers add up. Now, if you suppress 10 people here, 10 people at another polling unit, and multiply it across board, then obviously it could make a world of difference. And that's why I think that anyone who's willing, is qualified and able, should exercise their franchise one way or another. So every single vote matters. And that's why I think that these people have a right to insist. They cannot, it's a fundamental right, yes, to vote and be voted for, and they're well within their rights. And I think the officer there should listen to them and do the right thing. If they have anything to say, protect and secure the lives of the INEC officials there, address the people, but make sure that you can guarantee that they're going to bring materials so that they can vote. Otherwise, I can tell you that this will be the end, unless they promise them that they're going. I mean, if you vote afterwards and the elections have been, election has been concluded, then of what use is it? The joy of voting is not there. You vote not because you necessarily are going to have your candidate in, but that's your expression, your right of expression, which you must not be. It can go one way or another. When I vote, I'm either saying, kudos to you, it's sort of positive reinforcement, please carry on. Or I might say, I don't like what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you win or not, but my voice has been heard. So I think it's important that they not be not ignored, and that the right thing is done.
Very good, Victor. And we can just about make out the vehicle conveying the security personnel is finally being allowed to leave the scene, of course, where the people are currently not happy with the scenario of thugs coming in to disrupt electoral proceedings. A big question is, if they're leaving now, what will be the scenario for that polling station, of which we have two?
Or even the community.
Yes, for that. All right, we have Professor Adeni back online. You've been witnessing all that is going on live in Okota, Lagos. Security forces are leaving with some INEC officials, we believe, to reconfigure the machines there. What are your thoughts? You know, this is dragging on for some time now.
Yeah. Actually, advertise I see the genuine and they are genuinely crying for help. Security agencies to help them, you know, so they will not be disenfranchised. I do not know the details of what has transpired yet, because what we would have expected was for the security agencies to stay there and ensure that they actually cast their votes, you know. But now they are going to be left in the lodge somewhat, except INOS comes in later and say that there should be a supplementary election in those areas where voters have been suppressed or where there have been evidence, genuine evidence, valid evidence of disenfranchisement. This is definitely unacceptable, definitely uncalled for. It's not the kind of thing we should be expecting in this day and age, especially with all the preachments we have had in the build-up to the election. And of course, with all the lessons we should have learned after the presidential election, where there were genuine allegations of voter suppression. And this is it's just very annoying, you know, very unsalutary. And whoever is behind this, you know, should feel ashamed of him or herself. And remedies can still come in from the authorities, really. And which other authority are we going to call upon other than INEC, the security agencies? You know, but whatever happens at the end of the day, you know, the votes overall at the end of the day should not be counted, you know, without countenancing the interests of these mass of voters that we're seeing on the screen. They should be countenanced, you know. Their interests should be counted, their votes should be counted, they should be made to vote. They should be allowed to express themselves, like Dr. Victor said there. You know, it doesn't matter how their interests go. It's just expressing their civic responsibility. And civic responsibility is sacred. It's a mark of citizenship. It's a demonstration of their Nigerianness, and they should not be prevented from doing this. It doesn't matter where they come from. You know, we are all one, like many of them have said rightly. And of course, in being one, you know, that sense of longing, that sense of belonging should not be denied anyone. So at the end of the day, overall, or just to conclude, whatever happens, these fellows, their votes should matter, you know, in the overall results that will be announced at the end of the day. You know, it doesn't matter if we have delays, if we have some kind of consideration in terms of postponement or even supplementary election. At the end of the day, what matters is that they should be involved, they should be integrated in the process.
Very good, Professor. We will get back to you on that scenario, and we still have Tokunbo Oyetunji standing by. Tokunbo, we've seen the security, you know, convoy leave just now. They've been finally allowed to go, but what transpired up to this moment? What more can you tell us? Okay, we seems to have lost the feed for Tokunbo Oyetunji, but hopefully we will get him back before the end of the show to give us more update on Okota imbroglio, which is currently happening. And of course, we've seen that scenario play out, but the question remains, now that the people have been left, the voters have been left in the lurch, you know, what happens? You'd expect, there was so much assurances from INEC right from the beginning. And I remember when I asked the professor what has changed between the presidential elections and now to prevent scenarios such as this. And of course, hopefully we'll get back to you, Victor. Tokunbo, we've seen the security forces leave. What transpired? What has happened a few moments ago?
Yes, what actually happened, like I was trying to report to you earlier, was the fact that the INEC personnel from that polling unit where the disruption took place earlier because of the hoodlums attack, began to express fears for their lives that they can't continue with this process. So the security personnel had to actually listen to them and see how they can civilly take them away from here. In fact, we had one of the ladies actually crying in the police van there because she was so very confused about what was going on when the pandemonium actually broke out, especially with the community members here trying to stop the van from moving away. So I had to engage one of the personnel, asking him what exactly was going on. And he said, well, since they had seen what happened earlier, they couldn't continue. And when they spoke with their supervisors in the office, they told them to actually leave the place and start coming back to the office. But the community members will not have any of that, as they actually tried to stop the police van from taking them away. But eventually, when that senior police officer came, he had to kind of engage them. And the way he settled it was for the party agents present here to come along with them so they can know the next action that they are taking. Well, we now have to be waiting for what the decision will be from the Independent National Electoral Commission as regards the polling unit on Wahid Akoni, this spot. Of course, the voting point right behind me, where I'm standing on the street, is still operational. Voting is still going on there. But for the other one on Wahid Akoni, for now, the process has stopped as the personnel have been taken away by those police personnel.
Thank you, Tokumbo. What can you tell us possibly went wrong with the INEC process? Did you speak to the INEC officials? What was wrong with the beavers? In what step in the process did it go wrong? And why? Did they test it the day before?
Oh, well, I mean, they must have. But what I gathered was that the beavers never actually worked, since the process started this month. In fact, they were unable to actually kickstart the process. It was in the process of trying to reconfigure, trying to fiddle with the machines that the attack happened. So they became so confused and they had to run for their lives. So when they actually returned, they realized that the situation was not that conducive enough for them. Despite the presence of security personnel, they had to actually find a way out of this place. And coupled with the fact that after they spoke with their superiors in the office, we don't know what the tone of the conversation with the superior personnel in the office was. But I guess they must have realized that the officers on ground here could not go and handle the situation. That was why the returning to the office will be the best option. But that will mean, I'm thinking that INEC will be thinking of having to reschedule the exercise here. That is what I'm thinking. I don't know what the decision of INEC will be eventually.
All right, Tokumbo. Two police were on that street. Before you arrived there, what was the scenario like, generally around that region before you reached that hotspot? Is it the same scenario or that it's yet peaceful?
No, I mean, what I gathered is that it was more peaceful than what we had here. Of course, like I told you earlier, the report I gathered, I wasn't here during the presidential election, but what I found out was people came here in their numbers and they were able to actually participate, vote without any harassment or intimidation by anybody. So the voters here must have come with that kind of mindset again, that we're coming out here to actually vote for the state assembly rep for them for the next 4 years, and who will be the governor of Lagos State for the next 4 years. They must have come out with that mindset, because that was what happened in the presidential election. And like I gathered, they came in here, those who were supposed to actually vote at that polling unit that is still functional, went there and they started the process. I've seen some of them who have actually been able to vote, and those who are supposed to vote on Wahid Akoni, the one where the disruption took, actually went there in expect process. Arrived a bit late, not as late as it was during the presidential election, but despite that late arrival, the people were expectant that the process was going to take the same shape as it was during the presidential election. But unfortunately, some hoodlums actually came in, started throwing bottles and other weapons to actually chase the people away, and that was when the pandemonium broke. Like I said earlier, even those that were already voting at the polling unit right behind me here equally had to run for cover because, of course, nobody is immune against the attack by those hoodlums. So, as regards the expectations of the people, they were expecting a good day, but this weight has turned out. Some of them are still hanging around, and they're angry that they've not been able to actually participate, despite assurances by the security personnel, the senior police personnel that came in here, that the situation will be resolved by the appropriate authorities. The majority of them are cynical that may just be the end of it here, but I don't think so, really.
Thank you so much. We're going to bring in Oba Adeoye from Etiosa. Oba, are you there? Tell us what's going on.
Yes, I'm here.
Please give us a brief of what's going on.
Okay, I am at, they call this place Agungi Ajiran Road here in Etiosa, Lekki area precisely. And a lot of people, about 1,000 registered voters in this particular unit, have been unable to vote. They woke up this morning to find this sacrifice right behind me here, and we were told that it's part of the ploy to discourage people from coming out to vote. But the people said they are not daunted by the sacrifice, that they are ready to cast their vote. But even at that, there's no INEC official in sight to conduct the voting process here. A lot of them, you can see them standing here. They feel disenfranchised already, and they are already protesting that they want to be part of the process, but there's no INEC official in sight and nothing is taking place here. But a stone throw away from here, where we have about 50 voters, INEC officials came there and they conducted the process and they completed the process. But here that we have more voters, about 1,000 of them, there's no INEC official in sight and nothing has happened here since morning. This is about 1 p.m. or thereabout, and 1:35 p.m. precisely, and nothing has happened. Nothing is happening as we speak right now. The people are standing by. I have some of them here with me that I can speak with. Madam, let me speak with you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, please.
So what's the name?
Dorcas.
Dorcas what?
Ajimele.
Dorcas Ajimele. So tell me, what's the situation here right now?
For us here, I know there are some people that actually came here as early as 7 a.m. I was here some few minutes past 8 to collect my number 147. But up until now, no INEC official. We're told that they missed their way and went somewhere else about some few minutes past 9. And up until now, they are here to show up. So we are still here and hoping that they will show up so we can cast our vote, because that is what we desire to do.
So what effort have you made, as a group of voters to ensure that this situation is resolved?
Effort. For us voters, the best we can do is to wait and keep waiting, hoping that they will show up so we can cast our votes.
What if they don't show up? What happens?
We just hope they show up. But if they don't show up, then I don't know what we'll do. Because on our part, we can't bring them down here, but INEC should ensure that they bring their persons here so we can cast our votes. That's our desire.
All right, thank you, Dorcas. I have another gentleman here who is also an aggrieved voter who has been unable to vote in this particular unit. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What's the name?
My name is Kehinde Salami.
Okay, so what's the situation right here now? To vote. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling disenfranchised. We've been here since 8 o'clock. It's now going to 2, and there's no INEC official. There's absolutely nothing happening. You can see the crowd, and people are quite agitated. They're angry, and they're waiting to cast their votes.
We came here this morning and we saw this, I don't know what to call it. They call it sacrifice here. Were you not disturbed in any way at all?
No. This is Nigeria. All these ones don't work for people like us.
So why do you think this was put here this morning?
I don't know why it was put here, but
is it a usual occurrence? Is it a regular occurrence that they put sacrifice on this spot?
This is highly unusual. Again, it's another way of voter suppression, and I don't think it's going to stand.
All right, thank you so much. So you just listened to another gentleman there. You can see the sacrifice there. They are not moved by the sacrifice at all, and they said they suspect that is part of the voter suppression by whoever is responsible for placing this thing here. According to them, this is not a regular thing, but perhaps because the election is going to take place here and it is suspected that they have large turnout of voter in this particular voting unit. That's why whoever is responsible for this, place this there. And it's not too far away from a mosque. You can hear the sound of a mosque on the background. That's Agungi Central Mosque. So it's ironical that, you know, a stone throw some steps away from a central mosque, you're having a sacrifice here. To what intent and purpose, we cannot say at this point in time.
Irony that the INEC officials missed their way. I'm just wondering what was the scenario like during the presidential elections as well. But can you give us an inkling of what the state of, you know, voting is like around that Agungi, not just that polling unit that you currently are?
Yes, you know, the voting takes place in a number of places here in Etiosa, but in several other places, voting has not started as we speak. I left the VGC moments ago, and hundreds of the residents of the VGC are feeling disenfranchised as well, because we were told that INEC will not bring in their voting spot to the registered spot where voters are expected to, you know, cast their ballot. They've decided to place the voting point outside the gate of the estate, which the residents say it is out of place for them to go on the main express to cast their vote. So as we speak right now, nothing is happening at the VGC. A lot of people feel that is part of what they call voter suppression in order to discourage people not to participate in that election. As we speak right now, INEC has not reacted, and nothing is happening at the VGC and in several other places right now across Etiosa.
Thank you, Oba. From what we're seeing, these are over thousands of Nigerians who have been unable to exercise their human rights to vote today. Has anyone tried to escalate to INEC in any way?
Yes, I spoke with the chairman of the Resident Association at the VGC, and they said that they even gave an assurance to the INEC officials that they even signed an undertaking that nothing will happen to them coming into the estate to, you know, conduct the exercise. But all of those efforts yielded no result, because it's like the INEC officials sent there have already made up their mind that unless the voters come out to the main road to cast their vote, they are not going to conduct any exercise in that place. But again, there's nobody to reach. There's no INEC person inside or a senior person to reach, you know, to complain to. And we're told that a particular coordinator of the electoral officers in that VGC, that they were able to reach the woman earlier. They called the woman spoke with them, but subsequently the phone number was switched off and they have been unable to reach the woman as we speak. We also hear a report of another estate nearby, Ikota Villa Estate. We were told that the exercise is not taking place there too. We'll go there immediately after leaving this place. So in several places around Etiosa, there have been issues. There have been one complaint or the other. We even have a particular monarch that, you know, single-handedly moved the voting point and relocated to the gate of his palace. It's something that people have been complaining about, and a lot of people here are feeling disenfranchised in Etiosa.
Very good. Obadioye, our correspondent there in Agungi suburb of Lagos. Hopefully we'll get more from you as the scenarios there unfold. We still have Victor Ohai to give his thoughts on this scenario so far. What do you make of it? Oba says the INEC people are yet to come, and it's a few minutes to 2 p.m. At the moment. So, despite a large turnout, by the way.
The power of data. When you have data, you use it for analysis. And it's also a tool for decision making. So what you see here is probably a strategy playing out where, based on an analysis of the trend of voting in the last election, you look at your areas of strength and your areas of weaknesses, and then you deploy as you find fit. What I find interesting is that at this same place, I think he reported that where you had over 1,000 people, nothing is happening. Where you had less than 50, they were close to each other. Exactly. So the numbers. Again, at Agungi, within eyesight, we pointed, we could see it, without necessarily even zooming in with the camera or going closer. At one polling unit, the beavers malfunctioned. Thugs came to that one, not the other polling unit, which was just next door. I mean, within sight, you could see it next to each other. The thugs came there, drove these people away. The beavers somehow coincidentally didn't work. And suddenly, the INEC officials felt insecure, even with the presence of over almost not less than 15 armed policemen from what I could see. Three loads. Don't forget, these vehicles have the front, the middle, and then the people at the back. We saw it, So I'm just wondering, is it selective? Is it? So I see a strategy playing out. I got a personal report, a video was sent to me that in Shangisha, a similar thing is happening, and they are not letting certain people of a certain ethnic group vote and all that. I think that we should be very careful. Desperation may cost us, because I believe there are many decent Nigerians who may just take a look at this and just be disgusted by it, and you might lose some of your support through an act of desperation. And like the Bauchi governor said, power belongs to God, if you excuse my saying that here. At the end of the day, the heart of everybody is in God's hands. You can't determine what happens. And one way to know that is that even the things these politicians do in the most secret enclave and all that, somehow the videos get to us. Is it not from among them that these videos come out? So if these videos come out, it tells you that not everyone around you is necessarily with you. So I think that you might have support in certain areas, the people may not really be with you. Some of those you're suppressing may actually be with you. I think that they should just let the process go through. Democracy is about what the people, whether rightly or wrongly, it's their decision to live with the consequences for the next 4 years. We've seen cases where people have made a mistake and say, wow, and then they retracted. The next election cycle, they said never again. Okay? So we should just let things be, because if we go about it this way, we might end up, I don't know, I just hope, but more important than that's a call you made, which I also made earlier on, that I hope INEC is watching. I hope they have these TV screens and that they're taking note and that they're calling the officers in the various relevant places, unless what is happening is convenient and is according to plan. But I would expect that even if they don't make a public statement, they should call and address immediately, these concerns, especially because we can see them live. They're not concocted. It's not like fake news. We're hearing reports. We're seeing what's happening. Eyewitness reports through the camera.
They should have a situation room.
Yeah, that's expect. They should, ideally. But the idea behind the situation room is to be able to react promptly to address situations like this. And I really hope that they do.
I want to bring in Professor from Abuja. Professor, we've seen that there are thousands of Nigerians who have been unable to exercise their rights to vote today. What happened on the 25th? There are similar situations whereby INEC promised that they will conduct elections the very next day, the 26th. And many polling units complained that those elections were not conducted the next day. You can see how very resilient Nigerians are. They're not going home. Many have been there a.m. in the morning. What are your predictions on what INEC should be doing right now in order to remedy the situation?
Well, first of all, what we're seeing is actually very, very worrisome. Like we have said severally, very unfortunate. And this is a time that I think we need to hear from the authorities, we've seen, practical evidence of, what we can describe as a downside of the election, and we need INEC now to give us some explanation. We need the police to also give us some explanation. We do know that the Commissioner of Police is a man of high integrity. He's a consummate professional. We need him to bring his professionalism to bear in this circumstance and protect all these voters who are obviously feeling helpless, looking for some kind of redemption in their ability to exercise their franchise. We need quick response. In the presidential election, it took time before INEC came in and provided explanation on why they were not able to upload the results onto IREF for the further to their promise to give us instantaneous rendition of results. Yeah, we took them time. By the time they came out to give explanation through the instrumentality of the press of a statement, the damage was largely done. People were already suspicious. There were anxiety all over the place. There were rumors over the place. And we know what communication does in the present age that we are in. If there's a gap, people will fill it for you. And of course, after people have filled it, it's going to be very difficult for you to be acting on the defense. We saw it play out in the presidential election. So we thought this time around, they will up their game with respect to communication, the provision of information. This is the time coming now and give us explanation of what is happening really beyond, the excellent reporting of your correspondents, that the personnel, were fighting legitimately so, fearing for their lives, and taking cover with the security agencies available. And the security agencies available obviously thought that the best thing to do in those circumstances was just to take them out of the place, because even if you left them behind, they would not be able to function to the optimum because they will be working in an atmosphere of intimidation and anxiety and concern for their lives, So now, this can still be done. I don't believe that the damage is irredeemable. I believe that it is still morning yet on day of increase. It's just 2 o'clock or about 2 o'clock really. And it's not too late, for us to have men deployed to the place. It's not too late for us to have INEC officials fully protected in the polling booths. It's not too late for us to have voters called out to come and exercise in their franchise in the areas that your reporters have actually covered for us, But I want to believe that there are quite a number of polling booths in Lagos as well, and that, of course, if more of these cases are reported in a sizable number of places, it will just become unreasonable and untenable for us to be producing results from Lagos. It's going to be highly objectionable, and that's not the point at which we want to get to. And to prevent this kind of thing from happening, where there will be continuous controversy, endless litigation, sometimes even protestation, what to do now is to have an immediate response, and that can only come from all the key stakeholders in the execution of electoral process. And who are these stakeholders? We have mentioned them severally. We need not repeat it, but if we have to repeat it for the umpteenth time, we're calling on INEC, we're calling on the police, to be the police as a lead agency to respond as quickly as possible. And if the talks are vociferous, like it is feared in circles, they are usually backed, by the army that is supposed to be with more rigorous, more laborious training to give them cover so that they can get into those difficult areas. Because it is becoming something else and not democracy if more than 1,000 people are prevented from voting. Like is reported in some places. And of course, I want to stay away from raising suspicion now, but of course, if people begin to raise suspicion, if people begin to suspect some underhand dealings, some manipulation going on somewhere, you may not necessarily want to put them down, but I want to shy away from these until we get all the facts, together. But the point at which we are headed now, the signal we are getting now is not good, even though I consider it still redeemable, because we still have a long day to go. Even we still have a long way to go, and we can possibly still do a lot, before the close of ballot. There's nothing wrong in extending it. In the presidential election, we had places where people voted until 12. even though not correct, but of course, because they were determined to exercise their franchise, the officials were also conscientious. They waited patiently for voters. That case can still be repeated. We're not saying that this is the ideal situation, but in a situation like this, where people are passionate, where people are enthusiastic, and where people are feeling pained, feeling frustrated, where anger is seemingly boiling over, then we can go the extra mile to ensure that they are integrated, that they have a sense of inclusion in a situation where voting is.
Nigeria is now or never. You either love it or lose it forever. Nigeria is now or never. You rather love it and keep it for good. Freedom is now or never. We either win it or lose it forever. Freedom is now or never. We rather win it and keep it for good. Let me hear you. Zigaozi, Jai Kama. Zigaozi, Kanje Bahana, Jai Kama. Ajaleke Zigaozi, Kama Bahana, Jai Kama. Kanje Zigaozi, Kanje Bahana, Jai Kama. Jai Kama, Jai Kama. Africa is now on never. You either win it or lose it forever. Africa is now on never. We rather win it and keep it for good. Nigeria is now or never. You either love it or leave it forever. Nigeria is now or never. We rather love it and keep it for good. Freedom is now or never. We either win it or lose it forever. Freedom is now or never. We rather win it and keep it for good. Kanje Zigaozi, Agamawaha na Jai Kama. Kanje Zigaozi, Kanje Waha na Jai Kama.
Where is our Nigeria? Where is our Nigeria when one mudu of rice was 200 naira? Where is our Nigeria when Titus fish was 200 naira? Where is our Nigeria where a bottle of vegetable oil was 200 naira?
Where is our Nigeria where a liter of fuel was 65 naira? Where is our Nigeria where our monthly salary can serve us for a month? Where is our Nigeria when $1 was 165 naira? Where is our Nigeria when we eat 3 square meal in a day? Where is our Nigeria when going to farm is not a prayer point to survive? We don't live in a Nigeria where we don't have peace of mind to travel by land and there is no money to afford a craft. Parents can no longer afford school fees. We are in the era when people go out and don't come back. We will trade people for money. How long do we endure? How long do we survive? How long do we live? We need our Nigeria back. Give us back our Nigeria.
What categorically and other parts of issues, or you have thugs who have been quartered there by the PDP, who are also intimidating people and insisting that the party. So that is what it is so far. So I'm happy to take any further questions.
So what do you expect to see from INEC?
Well, as a matter of fact, these reports are being escalated. Receive the reports, we escalate them, to the State Director of the State Director of the Department of State Services, to the Commissioner of Police, and to the other platforms that have been established for and for where this report to be can be filed. So as for INEC, let me say that I'm pleased. Somewhat smooth. Then the next phase is when the voting has been concluded. We want to see how the counting proceeds. We want to see how the undertaken is extremely important. This was a major time, 5, so we hope that it will be remarkably different on this occasion. I'm also very good. Thank you.
Reflections on the elections in Enugu State. Of course, Frank Wike Jr. is the APGA governorship candidate for that region. Now, the news: former President Goodluck Jonathan is calling for the arrest and prosecution of those who burned down electoral materials in Ogbuya constituency 2 in Bayelsa State. Jonathan, however, commended the Independent National Electoral Commission for early arrival, performed his civic duty at Otoeke Ward 13, Unit 39 in Ogbuya Council area of Bayelsa State.
Judging from my voting unit here, today the materials arrived earlier than 3 weeks ago. And if that reflects at least 70 to 80% of the country, then we are very happy that INEC in terms of the arrival of materials. In terms of general security of the election, it's peaceful here. But I'm disturbed because within my local government, I've learned that the state constituency 2, what people call the Anyamas part of there were crises. The materials have been burnt down. And the police must make sure they arrest all those involved. If they feel challenged, they should go to the governor to get the military involved. All those who are involved in that act must be arrested and prosecuted. And we are all watching. If the police fail to do that, we feel terribly disappointed. Nobody should mess up our electoral system. 1999, 2002, all those kind of criminal acts took place. But our country is moving, and some criminals cannot push us backward. The world is watching Nigeria, and we cannot allow some criminal elements to push us backward. It must be stopped. And the security operatives, both the police, the SSS, and the army in Bayelsa State must make sure that all those who are involved in that criminal act are arrested.
We just heard from former President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, as he insisted that those involved in snatching ballot boxes and committing all kinds of voter suppression offenses should be prosecuted. Right now, presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, said the INEC has already discredited itself from performing below expectations during the presidential election. The former vice president said he is not sure if the commission will do anything different in the ongoing governorship and state assembly elections. Atiku Abubakar disclosed this today, shortly after casting his vote at his polling unit 0112, Aji Wards in Yola North local government area of Adamawa State.
Is an organization. So let's hope they will improve on their past performance. I'm not hopeful because I have not seen measures they have taken to improve their past performances. Expectations.
Still reflecting on the poll so far, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the February elections, Peter Obi says the low voter turnout experienced in the State House of Assembly elections is a fall out of the presidential polls. Peter Obi stated this after casting his votes at his polling unit in Amututu Ward 1 in his hometown, Agulu, Aniocha, local government area of the state. He says many Nigerians have lost confidence in the electoral process because of the way the February 25th, the presidential election was conducted.
There's a very low turnout
And the turnout is obvious for obvious reasons. People see that if their vote will not make any meaning, why make the effort to come out and vote? So there's a very low turnout.
We just heard from the presidential candidate for the Labour Party, Peter Obi. Right now, Kaduna State Governor Nasser El-Rufai has expressed worry over the low turnout of voters in the state. The governor, who arrived in the company of his wife and security operatives, spent at least 45 minutes in the queue before casting his vote. While acknowledging voter apathy, he expressed satisfaction with the peaceful conduct of the elections across the entire state. The governor, however, noted that there are reports of voter intimidation in some polling units in the southern senatorial zone of Kaduna.
But generally speaking, the process has been smooth across the state, except in a few places in southern Kaduna where we've got reports of voter intimidation, where people are being asked to vote for one party or go back home, and the security agencies are stepping in to deal with the situation. We anticipated some levels of violence, but by the grace of God, there has been no reports. Robust security arrangements were put in place in response to that intelligence. And so far, so good. I just hope that more people come out. The voter turnout still appears a little low. I hope more people come out, particularly the women that perhaps at home cooking lunch before coming out. So we are optimistic, grateful to God for bringing us to this day.
Kaduna State Councilman El-Rufai there. Now, there is growing tension in Ogeli, north of Delta State, as thugs destroyed all electoral materials, including some beavers machines in Unit 5 and all the units in that community. As of the time of filing this report, voting has been disrupted in all the polling units in Aweni, in Ogeli North local government area. A team of journalists monitoring the elections were prevented from entering the community by the rampaging thugs, allegedly loyal to a serving state commissioner. Some of the core members and other electoral officials were attacked by the thugs. Some sustained injuries, while about 3 beavers machines were also smashed.
Also, the Delta State PDP governorship candidate, Sharif Oborevore, voted in the state elections.
The process is good. Move away from the past.
Have you back. We're still covering the gubernatorial elections in Nigeria and, of course, the State Houses of Assembly as well. And, of course, we have Omo Bazoe, our correspondent in Bauchi State. Omo, what can you tell us? Can you give us an update? What's going on there?
Well, I just returned to Bauchi, the capital city of Bauchi State, and I'm right now standing at a very popular area, known as Makera Street, and it's I'm told it's a very popular, street in Bauchi State. Here, the election has been going on very smoothly. I'm told that INEC officials turned up very early as 8:20, even much earlier than the time set by INEC. And so far, it's been hitch-free. The people have coordinated themselves very well. They're taking their turn. I'm just going to tell my cameraman to maybe pan a little away from it so that he could show you how the people are actually voting, right here. There hasn't been too much of any complications. We have not heard and we have not seen, or our attention has not been drawn to any bad and ugly situation right here. Standing with me now, I have one of the observer who has been here all day long. Tell us what exactly has been the situation right here.
My name is Lawa Madaki from Bauchi. Still in Bogera, in this particular situation, it is very, very hard because in this governorship election and the House Assembly, from now to 10 years back, there is nothing in this, no fighting, no nothing, no anything. They do it. See somebody, they do it several times.
Thank you. Let me quickly ask this. You are a party agent. You are the party agent for All Progressive Congress.
Yes.
Can you verify what you just said?
Yes, it's true. So that the people is come to voting successfully. Successfully, no problem, no tension in the Majera streets.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
So that has been the situation, and I also want to quickly walk inside here. I don't know if my cameraman can follow me. I want to ask the electoral officers themselves what has been the situation here. Good afternoon. You are on to Arise TV.
That's very nice.
The
work is going smoothly, and we are really enjoying it. And it's faster than that of the presidential. There is improvement, exactly. Yes, there is.
How many minutes does it take one person to pass through the process?
It's up to just 1 minute, less than a minute. And people can accredit someone in less than 15 seconds. So, or let me say 5 seconds. It can accredit you. Yes.
What about your machine, the BVAS? Has it been giving you any problem?
It's working smoothly. It's not giving problem. Only that for the elderly people, sometimes we have issues with them. Yes.
What kind of problem do you have with the elderly people?
Sometimes it's not capturing their pairs and their hand. You understand? It's not capturing their hands and their pairs. Yes.
All right. I'm told that a few young people who are not up to 18 have been sighted around here. How true is this?
We don't have such kind of problem here. Yes. All the people that are voting here are up to 18 years. Yes. We don't have underage voting here.
So how long are you going to be here? I mean, how long are this process going to last?
Officially, it's supposed to be by 8:30 to 2 p.m. But if people are on the queue, we will finish them all. Yes.
He's absolutely right. Based on INEC guidelines, once anyone is standing on the queue, what that means is that the person has to vote before election can close. But we know that in some other places that we got to before coming here, election is already rounding up, and we will be going around as well to see, how the counting, is being done. But at the moment, right here in Makare streets, right at the center of Bauchi, everything has been going on smoothly, like been testified to by all the people we have spoken with right here. Studio.
Very good, Omo. Now, let me ask you, in terms of voter participation in this election, we can see quite a lot of people, the polling unit where you are at the moment. And of course, just give us an inkling as well on the security arrangement in that Bauchi metropolis, as it were. If you can hear me, can you give us an idea of what the participation is like with voters in Bauchi, and also reflect on the security scenario in that region where you are? All right. Hopefully, we'll get Omo Baz, our correspondent in Bauchi, seems to be coming to very soon. Victor, a contrast in Bauchi. I'd like your thoughts on that.
Well, the young man certainly knows his job. He appears confident and he's having a good time. So, different strokes for different folks, obviously. In some places, it's okay, and in others, not. But I think depending on what is happening at different places, when it appears we're going smoothly, especially with the older politicians, because that's the only way they know. You find president moves so smoothly. The one thing I have to give, one credit I have to give to the, especially northern voters, is they appear. I mean, even from the turnout, they are more they're more aware, politically, and so they come out the vote, and everything just moves very well. So it's good to hear that in some places, because what we've got are just reports from here and there, but it's not necessarily the case everywhere. So it's good to know that in certain places, voting is going on smoothly, even from Enugu, apart from the reports that the former honorable minister was talking about. I mean, we didn't get to see that, but where he was, obviously everything was moving smoothly. But don't forget, even the president was, a former president, Goodluck Jonathan, complained as well. You could detect some sort of exasperation in his voice and frustration because he apparently didn't like what was going on. So it's...
So the scenario in Lagos wasn't that unique?
No, I said so even in the beginning. You remember I said north, south. I remember my language, that north, south, east, and west, across the country, you would find, things like this being repeated. I mean, and as it is, at various levels, every politics is local, So you might find a situation where, even for House of Assembly, one candidate may employ the use of thugs to intimidate another. Okay, so at various levels, you get various. So these things happen depending on who they. I don't want to use the word gladiators now because it does appear in some places that what you have are gladiators, rather than people who are just running for election. So that's.
Don't you find what we just saw in Bauchi quite interesting? I mean, when we look back at the presidential elections, there were instances where things were going very bad and the media tried to interview the INEC reps and they said, look, we don't talk to media, we're not allowed to talk to media. And suddenly we just saw what happened in Bauchi and the INEC rep is standing up, excited, the beavers worked perfectly, election started on time, 8 a.m., it's smooth. And he was able to talk to the media.
Well, sometimes it depends on the individual. You can tell that guy obviously enjoys his job. And I don't think he remembered any.
When it's going smoothly.
Yeah, when it's going smoothly, exactly. So.
Under any pressure.
No, it's not. It's not. But incidentally, Bauchi is supposed to be one of the battleground states. I listened to this time. Permit me to use one of the gladiators. The two key people. The candidate, the incumbent from PDP, I think, and then the APC, the former chief of Air Force. And when I listened to them in previous interviews, in recent times, leading to the election, you would have thought that Bauchi would be up in smoke by 12 noon today. But that's the ironical part of it, all the hot air blowing happened before the election.
Right.
But on the day...
Let's quickly bring in Omo Bazua from Bauchi State. Omo, can you tell us what's going on there at the moment? Do you have anything else to add?
Yes, since all the time we arrived here in Bauchi, since yesterday, everything Bauchi has been very, very calm, has been very, very peaceful. Even though the people have had to struggle through the issues of cash crunch, they are not particularly bothered too much about it, but they have come out to exercise their voting rights, and it has all been very cordial and very they've comported themselves in very, very good manner. We have not heard or our attention being drawn to any
bad situation. No one is fighting, or even unnecessary argument is not holding. People are coming and taking their position. They're collecting tag numbers and getting on the queue. The men are on one line, the women are on their own line, and it is being done very peacefully. I mean, almost everywhere I've been around in this capital city, and even outside of the capital city, where I went earlier to see how the incumbent state governor, Bala Mohammed, voted. So right now, Bauchi is very, very peaceful. I was listening to one of our guests in the studio saying that they thought that by now that Bauchi will be up in smoke. Bauchi is not up in smoke. It is very, very peaceful. We know about, we have said that it was supposed to be a battleground, yes, because of the caliber of the three major contenders, in the elections. But what we have seen here is that it is actually the opposite of that kind of tension that people had looked out to or were expecting to find in Bauchi State. Security-wise, I've seen a number of security personnel moving, pacing around, major streets and arena in Bauchi. Some blaring their sirens just to, create awareness that they are around. Right where I am standing right now is also an official of the NSCDC. He's standing and watching how the election, is taking place. Earlier, I spoke with one of the electoral officers. Everything has been going on smoothly. They haven't had glitches of any kind. They have not had any form of issues. The bars. Boris, please, can you just move closer so that they can see how it's been going? The bars has been working very smoothly. But in fact, the electoral officer told me it takes sometimes 15 seconds for it to capture, necessary data. So far, so good. An excellent outing so far we are having here in Bauchi State, and everything is going on smoothly at the moment. I cannot at the moment confirm to you whether or not the candidate of the All Progressive Congress that is talking about former Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, has voted. Where I am standing to where he is voting is in the north of Bauchi, about another 2 or 3 hours drive from here. We'll give that information as soon as we have it. But for now, we haven't heard anything, ugly about the elections in Bauchi State.
On the elections there, hopefully we'll get more from you as the scenario unfolds there. We still have Professor Adeni in Abuja to give his thoughts on that. Professor, you heard Omar Bazoye in Bauchi given his explanation and regarding the scenario in the north regarding the elections, of course, the anxiety going into the elections, whether it's presidential and, of course, the one we're having right now, the governorship. What do you make of his assessment so far?
Of how behavior can be different, really. Behavior either at the level of the individual or of the collective. In one instance, there was tension, there was anxiety, and the whole thing, it was looking as if the whole house was going to come down, even though we do not know how it's going to pan out eventually until we get a comprehensive report. At least we are seeing calm. Maybe if you look at it, if you look at the bigger picture, really, you will see that we have more off-season, essentially off-cycle election in this particular section of the country more than in another section of the country. It may be a pointer to how people react overall, whether or not people are much of some section is much more litigious than the other, whether another section is less fierce in terms of how they approach political contestation. Well, this will be an argument an academic argument or an argument who can advance our instances. But overall, what I think matters is going forward, we might need to raise the stakes in terms of political communication, in terms of sensitization, that voters or citizens should not just be careful with committing misdemeanor electoral offenses, but of course, there has to be increased sensitization on citizens, on the need for citizens to have respect for the electoral process itself, because the electoral process should be held as sacred, as sacrosanct in as much as you want to demonstrate, in as much as we regard the right to vote. The right to vote is sacred. It's a right, that nobody should take away. But the process itself, which is the cause in which you express that right, should be regarded. Because in sections of the country, we have now seen how voters are disrespectful of that process, leading to this violence, leading to this disenfranchisement, leading to this suppression, which is definitely antithetical to the soul of democracy. And what more can we say other than to maybe exercise some patience and see how the event go on in the entire 28 states. We want to hope that what we have witnessed in Lagos is just will remain in Lagos alone, and we shouldn't see it in more states. Otherwise, in more states, we're going to be calling out INEC, calling out the security agencies, and maybe at the end of the day, coming to judgment. Judging that the election once more falls below our expectation. But of course, we have also been told to manage our expectation against the background of problems that we often have in this country, problems around the low levels of efficiency and productivity in different sectors. So if we are having in every other sector, why do we think they could be above board? Why do we think security agencies will be above board? So these are the questions we continue to ask, but in continuing, the onus is also on us to be finding solutions to them. So as we are finding solutions, what it amounts to is that we are making improvement. And one area in which we need to make improvements, as a nation, is our democratic culture. And an element that is key to the consolidation, the deepening of this democracy, is the electionary process, because the process is a transitory process, a process of transition where leaders are supposed to emerge from. And the quality of election will definitely determine the quality of leaders that we're going to have, because it's supposed to be an avenue for people, citizens, to express themselves. But if the avenue is less than transparent, if there's no accountability, if it is fraught with malpractices, of course, we cannot beat our chest at the end of the day to say that the election has been above board. And finally, again, we have to also be mindful of ensuring that the election is neatly conducted, to probably mitigate or attain the level of litigation we're going to have at the end of the day. But if there are too many litigations, we should expect that the judiciary might be intervening for us. And if they are intervening for us, as some people have been critical of, it might lead to us having more governors that are probably legal, but not legitimate. That's not what we want. We have seen it in time past, and there have been allusion to the fact that we have Supreme Court governors, which I think those who are supposedly bearing that name, or those who are so-called, don't enjoy. And I don't think citizens enjoy it as well. The kind of leaders that we want are those that emerge from the natural course of the process in a way that everybody will see as clean or largely clean, free, fair, and credible, compliant with global best practices, as the case could be.
You're absolutely right. Quality of an election is key to sustaining an enduring democracy. I'd like to thank you, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, for your perspective on the elections, the governorship elections so far. It's good to have you with us. And of course, we still have Victor Ohai with us. Victor, let's delve into some specifics here. The issue of underage voting, which is a bigger problem in the north. Earlier on, Omo Bazoye was talking to one of the INEC officials, and of course, he confirmed that, okay, fine, there's been no incidents of that. But do you think to a large extent, technology coming in could have discouraged that scourge that we used to have in those days, that you just have their PVCs all over the place with pictures of young children in there as well? But we're not seeing that prevalent here.
Technology helps, and it certainly has helped. You know, with the BVN and so many other things, the national identity, you know, the NIN and all that, your data has to be synchronized across board.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you're just 7 years old and you're claiming to be 18, well, it does have consequences, you know, ultimately. But perhaps the parents may not be sufficiently enlightened or they don't care. But it's coming to play, and it's going to be really, really ridiculous to have a child, you know, or a group of children have their faces uploaded to the beavers and all that. And I'll tell you what, no matter what happens, some of these parents are also smart. When they see that you're going to take the picture of their kids before accrediting, something at the back of their minds will tell them, you know. So technology has helped to a very large extent to quell, but we all know garbage in, garbage out. What you feed is what it gives you.
Indeed.
There's nothing wrong with it. The beavers remains an excellent system. I was telling someone, was it yesterday, I said, how come you bring things to Nigeria and Nigerians just give it another use? Yeah, I'm sure even the people who make the beavers will be embarrassed because they have factored in everything.
Yeah.
And they have factored in that the people who will apply this will be reasonable human beings. But the beavers come to the beavers, and it comes to Nigeria, and then at the end of it, the IREF, you know, we just find that Nigerians have reconfigured it to Nigerianize it, you know, to suit, you know, the convenience. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with technology by itself and of itself. So it's a good one. And why I think it will continue to work now is that people are now resolute. They can see that they can be aided by technology, unlike before.
Yeah.
And so they know that all they have to do is insist that the right thing be done, you know, and they're doing that. But where those who don't want the right thing to be done see that they cannot have their way, then they decide, okay, again, permit me, Pidgin English now an official language, so I can use it. You know, if we can't, if you not go for a scatter and dabaruam, you know what I mean. So, and that's what you're saying. If I can't have it, then you know, like the other, you know, the story of Solomon and the two women. You know, one said, look. Kill the child, I don't care. Because obviously it wasn't her child. So that's what you see playing out. So if this child or this polling unit is not mine, I mean, let's scatter it. But the one that is mine, like a mother hen, protect it, cover it, make sure that the result gets to the IRF. You know, so that's what's happening because when these things are, the IRF is perfect and it works. You know, so that's what's happening right now, and what we need to do is defend it. Unfortunately, it's sad that Professor Mahmoud is being indicted. You hear me say, or the body represents saying, you know, there's no, INEC has lost credibility. I think we heard one of our leaders say that. You know, it's an indictment. It's important because perception is everything. For there to be a trust in any system, it must be perceived to be okay, that it's working, and that's what gives citizens confidence in the system and in the process. But where that is missing, then it becomes a problem.
Indeed. All right. Victor, hi. I'd like to thank you very much, but we'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
My guy, my brother, my blood. E no get waiting fall from sky, we ground no fit carry. We have been through a lot, and we still stand strong. If you remember, Together, we overcame monsters, battled the darkness, and even survived loss. But we became unbreakable, unstoppable. So, guy, shake off the bad vibe. Face the world with your full chest. Because this life, forget, you and me, now we go run out.
Hi, I'm Pato Rankin, and they don't call me World Best for no reason. I only deal with the best. Be it auto or business, 100% claim is always guaranteed.
Welcome to World Class Insurance Services. We are Anchor Insurance.
Where insurance truly works.
When you grow more, you'll naturally have more to balance. With an expanding community of female entrepreneurs and 22% of working Africans starting businesses, support for new and growing enterprises across the continent has never been more important. Access Bank's digital loans have so far provided over 260 billion naira to upwards of 1.8 million customers and counting. Access, more than banking.
It's good to have you back on Arise News special coverage of the governorship elections and, of course, the State House of Assembly in Nigeria. Of course, we have Nisi Gabriel, our correspondent in Kaduna State. He has an exclusive interview with Sunday Babaji, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police. Nisi, go ahead.
Thank you, Lee. Well, right here I'm at the Kaduna State Police Command with the Commissioner of Police here in Kaduna, Sunday Babaji. And it's also good to put this on record. He's just the Commissioner of Police deployed to Kaduna State for election duties. And he has said that he will not want to respond to some of the crises in the state before the election. So we're strictly focusing on election issues in the state. Thank you very much, CP Sunday Babaji.
Thank you
for joining Arise News.
Thank you.
Speak to us. You and your team have gone around Kaduna State to monitor the elections. As a matter of fact, you just came back to your office a few minutes ago. So what's your assessment of the election so far?
Well, generally, the gubernatorial and House of Assembly election in Kaduna has been relatively peaceful. We have gone around with all the sister security agencies this morning. We just came back and voters have been seen casting their votes and securities agencies all deployed to maintain law and order.
All right, few hours ago, the APC gubernatorial candidate in the person of Senator Obasani and the governor himself did allege of voter intimidation in Kajuru local government area and Zaria local government area. What are you hearing?
I have a commissioner of police posted from force headquarters in charge of Kapanchan axis and Zaria axis. I'm in touch with them and they are on top of the situation. The situation is being handled.
So did it really happen?
Well, for now, they have not given me a report of that, but they are in charge.
Because the impression we got was that they were thumb printing of ballot papers even before the election commenced.
No, I wouldn't know that one. No, I wouldn't know. No idea.
All right, let's shift gears. There were also apprehension prior to the election of tension in Kaduna State. And so far, just like you said, it has been calm, relatively calm. So what are your plans that you have in place for post-election crisis?
Well, we don't anticipate any. But however, we have already deployed our men. We have made our strategic plans in case of anything, but we don't envisage any. You can see that the state is relatively calm. People are going about their normal business, casting their votes, so no cause for alarm.
How many police personnel were deployed to the state for the election?
Over 16,000 policemen and other sister security agencies deployed for this assignment.
Across the states, there are reports of suppression of voters, especially for the Labour Party. What are you hearing from the southern part of Kaduna?
No, I wouldn't know, no idea about suppression of voters. I have not received any report about that.
So for those who intend to cause mayhem, those who are planning to maybe heat up the polity in case the result does not go in their favor, what will you say to them?
We'll advise them to stay clear of Kaduna. It's not safe for them, or else the long arms of the law will catch up with them.
And you are assuring the citizens of Kaduna, the residents of Kaduna,
they should be patient. They should cast their vote, go home and wait for the outcome, the result of the election. They should be patient. No, nothing will happen.
No, but will your men provide security for voters who intend to stay at the polling units to guard their votes?
They are already there, giving them protection, though they should stay 300 meters away from the polling units if they are interested to stay.
So we should be rest assured that Kaduna will be safe.
By the grace of God, Kaduna will be very, very safe. As you have seen, we have gone around, it's very, very safe.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, you've heard from the CP here in Kaduna State. He was deployed to the state for election duty, and as such, he won't be able to take questions as regards crisis in the state, especially because I would have loved to ask him about the crisis that happened prior to the election in the southern Kaduna axis, especially Zango Katab area and other regions in the states. But he had said strictly on election matters. And just as he's told us, he said just now, he's assuring the people of Kaduna State of their safety. And so far, so good. Election has been calm and peaceful in Kaduna State. And the report, the allegations made by the APC gubernatorial candidates, Obasani, and the governor himself of voter intimidation in Kaju local government area and Zaria local government, according to the CP, he said that will be looked into. And he's assuring the people of Kaduna of their safety. Back to you, Neil.
Your interview with Sunday Babaji, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police. Good to have you with us. Hopefully we'll get more from you as the days wears on. And Victor Hyde, what are your thoughts on that? In terms of real-time response and what we're seeing regarding our police institutions and other sister security agencies, as it were, do you think to a large extent it instills some kind of confidence in you?
Not my job, but that's an IG material.
I wish I could ask him. Yeah,
he inspired confidence.
Yeah,
he was. He stayed focused on the issue, and he spoke very confidently. He was also responsive, and he has reassured the people of Kaduna. I felt. I mean, if the reason I think he's actually in charge and the security is working very well is at the point when a sitting governor is complaining. It therefore means that maybe things are not quite working the way they expect. It therefore means that somebody is making sure that things are working properly. It's not normal for you to hear that a sitting governor is complaining that, at certain places there are intimidation and things like that. So I think, and I believe him.
All right, let's just hold it there. And for more robust analysis of the ongoing electoral process, we have in our Abuja studio NLB from the Situation Room. Good to have you join us. So NLB, give us an insight of your assessment of the election so far.
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. So far, we have just released our preliminary report on the ongoing governorship election. And for us, we can see that the deployment of observers has been very, very effective. And the reports reaching us, as at the time we reported by 12 noon, we had about 80% of the polling units opening by 8:30, by around 8:30, which is the benchmark for opening of polls in the morning. And more people are coming, but we noted also low voter turnout and voter kind of suppression in some areas where a lot of the polling units, they are not allowing people to come out, or some polling units are not, the ad hoc staff have not yet opened, even when they had their documents and the kind of the boxes and all the equipment that they have. In the polling units that also we visited, about 82% of them had the presence of the police and the security agencies around them. About 4% had a lot of tension. We had a lot of tension in the environment, and that has to do with some of the areas that we earlier noted yesterday about, that we raised the red flag for states like Lagos, Rivers, Kano, Enugu, and a few other places. And we are also seeing some interventions. We saw some snatching of beavers. So an example is one of the polling units in Nsukka, where the thugs came and snatched beavers from people, but with the intervention of the Nigerian military, that beavers was immediately retrieved, and the voting continued where they are. And so we've also noted in some parts of Kano, we noticed that some thugs came to smash some ballot boxes and also, papers, and then moved away. In one of the ones that was noted, the DPO later came there. It meant that, what that means is that you're having a lot of the roving or monitors, around. That particular incident, the DPO himself came, but it was too late because the thugs had made away. And some of the worries that we pull down here is that we know that the polling units, the police or the security agencies that are within the polling units, they have no weapons. But in the perimeter, we know that there are supposed to be, the police and security agencies that have their own weapons, so that when thugs come, they're able to communicate with them. But we again encourage the Nigerian Army, I don't know, that's too late for maybe this election, that there is need for walkie-talkies. Those who are within the polling units should be able to call when they can perceive, because the police are trained to perceive, whatever, whether they smell trouble or in their environment to get ready immediately. And we have asked that, there should be protection of lives and property. We noticed some crisis in Lagos, in some places where people were being beaten. We received so many reports from that. And if you go to, our situation room, the hall where you have a data room, you'll be inundated from the reports that we're getting from several spots. But I think, so far, we have more reactions. We noticed, as at the time we're putting up our reports together, we noticed 2 reports on the IREF portal, a picture of somebody and then a plain, an empty result sheet. But before we finish with our press conference this early afternoon, we noticed that about 60, result sheets had been uploaded onto the IREF portal. And what that means is that reports are coming already. But what we know is voting continues until 2:30. If you're on the queue before then voting can continue after that. If not, after, at that point, voting stops. That is, if you have, for example, in a polling unit where you have 20 people, for example, you have 20 people, 20 voters registered there, and you are expecting 20 to come, and you have 20 already. Yes, you can conclude your election, but not without that. And it's not, we don't know about the likelihood that you can have already the complete setup of people where you have 60, reports, before 1 o'clock. So these are some of the things that we have seen. We also noticed vote buying in some of the areas, in some of the polling units where people are being given wrappers. After voting, you show your, they try to show, and I think there is a lot that our security agencies can do to that effect. But we're making use of some of the reports that we have gotten. We have escalated some to the relevant agencies, some of them to the police and to other agencies. And where it needs to go to INEC, it goes to INEC.
All right, quite an excessive assessment there. MLB of the Situation Room would like to thank you for your thoughts on that, but would also like you to stay tuned. We'll come back to you. And we go now to Obadioye, who is in Elegushi Ikate, a suburb of Lagos. So Oba, what more are you hearing from that region?
As we speak right now, ballot sorting. Are still voting. Remember that the guideline of the INEC is that the process will continue until the last person on the queue is attended to by 2:30. So here, ballot sorting is undergoing, and any moment from now, they will start counting the ballot and declare the result from this particular unit. We are in front of the Oba Elegushi Palace. That's the monarch here in Ikate, Elegushi. And this particular unit, we were told earlier that the unit was moved from a street down here to this place because of, what some of them told us is that it was because there was some attack there during the presidential election. And in order to bring it out to the open, it was now relocated to this particular spot here. I have a gentleman here with me, and he will be telling us why this happened. He votes here regularly. Sorry, can you join me, sir? He votes here regularly, and he has some information for us. So what's your name, sir?
Osi Opara.
Okay, sir. This particular unit, I was here during the governorship election. It was on that street, but now it's here. The street is called Bangbala Street. So the unit is here. Do you have any reason why it was relocated?
No, I don't know. No explanation was provided to us.
It was just moved. How did you learn that it has been relocated here?
When we got there, we were asked to come over here to vote.
Okay. So, but what's your assessment of the process in Ikate generally?
This particular polling vote started early enough, around 8:30, and people came in and voted. It's been peaceful, no problems at all. So, up to this time, there's been no problems.
Nothing at all?
Nothing. It's gone very peacefully and smoothly.
No cases of disenfranchisement and what have you?
No. People were being duly accredited and voted to secrecy as it were. No problems. I have not seen any. I have not witnessed any.
Okay. I can corroborate what he just said now because of the units that I've checked this afternoon around here. It has been peaceful so far. Everything going on according to plan. And in some polling units, sorting of ballot is underway. Counting of ballot is going on in some other polling units.
Oba, right, Oba? It's good to hear that counting of ballot has started in certain places. You did say that everything has gone very smoothly. Can we hear from some other residents within the area, or hear from the INEC officials?
Okay, the electoral officer have not been authorized to speak to the media, but I will see if I can get another member, another resident here to speak with on camera. A lot of them are declining coming before the camera, for reasons best known to them. But I spoke to some of them who, spoke behind the cameras, and they expressed confidence in the process that whatever result that, comes out from the process in this area will be acceptable to everybody involved in this particular exercise. You can see a small crowd of people behind me, a small crowd of residents behind me comporting themselves regularly and, watching what is going on with the ballot sorting. Let me see if I can speak with one of them. Madam, can I speak with you? Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's the name?
Dayo Dukoya.
Okay. So what's your assessment of this process so far?
Well, it's been peaceful since morning, except that we have few harassment here and there, but there was no riots and it's been peaceful.
You said harassment. What sort of harassment?
I mean, some of them were like, oh, if we'll see how, I mean, we're coming back for you. If you wait here to count, we're coming back for you, but we just ignored and we stood by.
But here you are, and ballot sorting is underway. Nobody has come for you.
No.
So are you still confident that they will not come for you?
They can't come for us. We are all here to witness this, and so we are here.
Thank you so much. So we heard that from her, some form of harassment from some people, and the people are, they have made up their mind that come what may, to give up. They are going to monitor the exercise till the very end.
They look very transparent. The counting process is going smoothly.
Yes, you can see it on camera. It's going on smoothly. The electoral officers are trying to sort based on political parties, and the process is that after sorting from the pool, from the boxes, they sort separately. Remember that we are having two elections today. That's for the governorship election and the House of Assembly election. So they will sort based on parties from the two boxes, after which they will count according to parties and then declare the final result of the exercise in this particular voting spot.
Very good, Oba. And if I may cast your mind back to the presidential elections, that incident that happened that caused a bit of mishap in that particular area, if you remember, it was afterwards that we saw a massive police presence. There was, I think, an army vehicle that was stationed in front of the Oba's palace. But what is the scenario? You could expect that, okay, coming from that experience, that you'd expect to see more security presence in that region. So what can you tell us about the current scenario? Because what we're seeing is just one policeman who is unarmed right about the canopy area.
I've not seen as many security people on ground today like we saw during the presidential election. I remember that what attracted most of these military men here during the presidential election was that there were reported clashes here and there, and they were deployed to this spot, and that was why you had them in numbers here. But today, just like every other polling unit elsewhere, you have just a couple of security men. I've been to another about 2-3 units in front of the palace gate over there, and I saw about 3 policemen, attached to a particular voting spot. So today, there have not been a lot, reports of clashes here and there, and that may be the reason why you have not seen too much of security men in this area. And the security men have been advised, according to INEC regulations, that they just have to monitor, even without carrying any arm or any ammunition whatsoever. So they are not expected to carry rifles. They are not expected to come close to the ballot box. They are just expected to monitor situation and, stand by to see if anything will go wrong so that they can arrest the situation. That's why they are here.
And as we can see, there's the crowd there. The electorate are also counting along to ensure that the process is fair on all. What do you have to say to that, Oba?
Yes, before now, if you have been following the history of elections in Nigeria, before now, the culture was for people to vote, and for fear of being attacked or for whatever reason, they leave the voting point and return home. But later on, people decided that no, after voting, you must wait to ensure that your vote is counted and the exact result from that polling unit is transmitted. And that is what you are seeing right here, right now. A lot of people have made up their mind that they are going to ensure that they have a voice in the process that will produce the next governor and the next House of Assembly members that will come from this area. And that's why you are seeing them here. Some of them have been here since 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., and they told us that they are not going to leave here until after the final result is announced by the electoral officer. So I think it's an improvement on our voter education, political education, if you ask me, because people are now getting more conscious and getting more aware of the process. And of course, saying that nobody will take them for a ride any longer.
Indeed, Oba Adeoye reporting from Ikate Legushi, suburb of Lagos. Many thanks for your thoughts on that. Hope to get more from you shortly. And in Delta State, the PDP governorship candidate, Sheriff Oborowore, voted in the state elections.
Please, everybody leave. Please, everybody leave. Everybody leave, please. Oh, camera. Okay, shift, leave, please leave. Please leave, just give chance.
And moving on, Governor Amadou Fintiri of Adamawa State has also cast his vote in his hometown, Madagali, as he asked the APC governorship candidate, Senator Aisha Tubinani, to be prepared for defeat.
The process is good, is excellent, is fast, and I think it's something to be encouraged. INEC need to move away from the past and adhere strictly to the guidelines, the Electoral Act, and what is contained in the Constitution by simultaneously transmitting the result this time around and also collecting manually. I think that is what is expected of INEC, and for the process, I think is excellent. You can see in less than 20 seconds, I was accredited and I casted my vote. I think for me, the process is good. Yes, I've said it. The international community has also called on INEC to redeem their image. We're also calling on INEC as stakeholders for them to redeem their image by doing what is expected of them, what is in the guideline, what is in the Electoral Act, and what is in the Constitution. I think if we do that, there will be less acrimony, there will be less misconception about the process. But for me, is excellent. Is what is expected of them that is going on now. And I believe it will end like this. Perfect. I will win the election. I will get the day. So far, so good. I have not received any serious report across the state. And I think as human, there's bound to be one or two problems across in some selected areas. But I think generally it's not enough to say it's not good. I think we have to pass an excellent marks on INEC this time around.
And still on the elections in Edo, most polling centers visited in the city center recorded low turnout of voters as residents appear to have boycotted the exercise. Polling centers that had a massive turnout of voters during the presidential elections are said to be scanty, witnessing very few voters. George Idaho Primary School in the GRA Oredo Ward 6 Mission Road and Ubeko Primary School were among some of the centers visited this morning.
The electorate, they are not coming out, and the voters are not here on ground, unlike the presidential election where the turnout was massive. But we are seeing a situation where the turnout is very low today. But we are urging our people at home, whatever reason that is keeping them here, they should come out and vote. It is better to vote for the candidate of your choice rather to sit back at home. So staying at home does not really make any sense because it's a time to exercise your own franchise.
Don't compare this with presidential. Why? The reason why is that they started early. They started early today. I have voted myself.
In St. Maria Goroti, Bobaha was 6. They told us that all units and party, they should bring one agent. Like PDP, 1 agent, APC, 1 agent, Labour Party, 1 agent. That is what they are doing. What I'm seeing here now, one party I don't want to mention, let me PDP. They are the one doing it. PDP, there are almost 6 agents in 1 unit, because that unit, that is where the chairman of WASIS come from. And I'm still voting in that unit. And it's not supposed to be like that.
We just heard about the low voter turnout in Edo State. Right now, Governor Godwin Obaseki has attributed the low turnout of voters in the state to the high presence of security agencies manning the nooks and crannies of the state. The governor, in company of his wife Betsy, spoke shortly after casting his vote at Ward 4 Emokpai Primary School in Orado local government area. He expressed worry at the situation, noting that it is different from what happened at the presidential election.
Yes, there's both the voter apathy, no doubt. However, I believe that there are many more people who want to come out to express their franchise, but the overwhelming presence of security men and the lockdown of the city, if I were not the governor, I'm not sure I would have been able to get to my polling unit. I mean, the lockdown is extreme, so I'm appealing that it be relaxed while, security adequate measures are taken to monitor and police people's activities, but not prevent people from getting to their polling units. Right now, people are being prevented or they've been deterred from going to vote.
Was that not based on the Bradley report or the apprehension that this
yes, we know. So we're saying there should be some balance. This is extreme. You can see that it's a totally different mood today compared to what happened on February 25th. Today, people will come out and express themselves based on the local issues, not national issues.
It was State's Governor Obaseki. Another River State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has described the state election as an improvement on the February 25th presidential and parliamentary polls. Governor Wike stated this shortly after casting his vote at his ward in Port Harcourt.
Obviously, they are discouraged. But for whatever it is, the numbers are okay. You can't force people to go and vote. And I'm happy with the peaceful nature of it. It means that the security agencies are doing what they're supposed to do. But it's unfortunate that he has been INEC candidate, which is expected. I can tell you that the of security in INEC, one he was one who carried that because Magro Sabe is from Uboni, and the director of security is from Uboni. So I don't want us to go into the front has to roll, but for a director of security in such a sensitive commission to breach security is quite appalling. It's quite appalling. But thank God that the national body, the headquarters have come out to deny it, and the security agencies have taken note of it, and they're working accordingly. For what I've seen, I've not had any much complaint. I've seen they've done very well. Also, the percentage, and I would say that they've done very well. They have improved more than what we had in 25th of February.
We just heard from Governor Wike. Moving on, the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party in River State, Senator Magnus Abe, has expressed his observation about the conduct of the ongoing governorship and House of Assembly elections in River State. While fielding questions, with arise.
What we want them to do is to conduct an election